Chapter 5 Pest Management 5.1 Policy protects real property and health of soldiers, civilians, family members from pests through use of integrated pest management IPM strategies, reduce the use of chemical pesticides, reduce environmental risk of pesticides through the proper storage, handling, application, disposal. Pesticide 52 legal and other requirements listed below are statutes, laws, regulations applicable for Army Pest Management Patrol Program, Section 136, Title 7 U.S. Standard Code, Section U.S. Standards Code 136, DODI issuance 4150. That 7 DOD 4150 dot 7M DOD 4150.7MP DOD issuance 47115 or 4715.55 AR 40-5 AR 420-10 AR 3885-10 AR 2010-50 for overseas installation country specific federal grade standards. 5.3 major program goals: monitor, control pests, and poses threat of health, safety, and installation population. Maintain current pest management plans and installation management. Minimize use of pesticides for the appropriate surveillance methods. The programs ensure all pesticides applicable for appropriated, trained, certified, developed, enforced in management, and properly store safely guarded pesticides. Pesticide application equipment for the installation. Pesticide security ensure all pesticides waste and properly disposed. 5.4 program requirements: prepare integrated pest management IPMP defines pest management requirements, responsibility, resources needed to correct pest programs or pest problems to each installation coordination IPMP with the affected part. These DODI issuance 4150.7 conduct IPM programs in accordance with approval. Garrison Commander, National Guard Bureau, Army National Guard, Installation Management Command, Korea, ICOM, and Europe, and as appropriate establish procedures to secure, handle, apply, disposal, management pesticides consistent with the Army safety and security requirements. And PDDODI 4150.7 conduct periodic program reviews, installation using pest management professionals to ensure regulatory compliance and correct the deficiencies of DODI 4150.7. Ensure all military and civilian personnel who apply supervise application pesticides Army facilities installation during military consequences will be trained, certified in accordance with DOD certification. Non-DOD personnel include state employees, contractors who apply supervise application of this pesticide Army facility. The installation will be trained and certified by the state of the Army facilities. Installation is located. Quality assurance evaluators develop and review and pest management contractor specification and assistant performance of these contractors will be trained in accordance with DOD policy and guidance. DOD issuance 4150.7. Maintain and achieve our records. Report on all pesticide application operation made to all facility ground and to include those performed and performed under contract, tenant supported activities. Leases perform formal agreements. Those installation facilities to realignment, closure, BRAC cleanup program, closure, overseas installation. DOD issuance 4150.7 installation self-help program, cost effective IPM approaches the control of minor nuisances passed through authorized pest management material, equipment, awareness, training, record keeping requirements. DODI insurance issuance 4150.7 ensure requirement aerial specified applications over the lands, control pest, medical, economical, emergency, urgency, and military significance. Address of the aerial spray statement of needed ASAN is submitted to the U.S. Army Environmental Command, USACAC, National Guard Bureau, Army National Guard, IMCOM Korea, IMCOM Europe is appropriate. DOD issuance of 4150.7 ensure pest management and commercial solicitation incorporate Army requirements for the application safe handling pesticides are formed by USAEC, National Guard Bureau, ARNG, IMCOM Korea, IMCOM Europe, and appropriate with for technical review prior solicitation. DOD issuance of 4150.7, DOD 4150.7M, DOD 4150.7P, an appointment installation pest management coordinator, IPMC, PD DOD issuance 4150.7. After 6, cultural resources. 61, insurance policy installation. Make the informed decision regarding cultural resources under control, compliance with public laws, and support of military mission consistent with the Southern principles and cultural resource management. 62, legal requirements. State, local regulations, other guidance so applicable. Army and Cultural Resource Management Program includes Section 47O, Title 16, U.S. Standard Code 16, United States Code 470. 1 Section 1996, Title 42, U.S. Standard Code 42, U.S. Standard Code 1996, Executive Order EO 13007, Section 3001, Title 25, U.S. Standard Code 25, U.S. Standard Code 3001, Section 47 or Section 407AA, 407MM, Title 16, U.S. Standard Code 16, U.S. Standard Code 47, Section 43. 143, Title 16, U.S. Standard Code 16, U.S. Standard Code 43, 431, 433, Section 469, Title 16, U.S. Standard Code 16, U.S. Standard Code 469, Part 79, Title 36, Code Federal Regulations 36, CFR 79, Part 3, Part 800, Title 36, Code Federal Regulations 36, Code Federal CFR 800, Part 229, Title 32, Code Federal Regulations 32, CFR 229, Part 10, Title 43, Code Federal Regulations 43, CFR 10, DoD, American Indian and Alaskan Native Policy Memorandum 20 October 1998, President Memorandum, Head of Executive Department of Agency Government to Government Relations, National American Tribal Governments to 1994, April 1994. Executive Orders 13175, Executive Orders 13287 for overseas installation country-specific federal graded standard requirements. 6.3 Major Program Goal Development Implementation Procedures protect against encumbrances to missions by ensuring all Army installation effectively management control resources. 6.4 Program Requirements, General Program Management Development, Integrated Cultural Resources Management Plans, ICRMPPS for use of planning tools developing NHPA programmatic agreement of PAs per memorandum agreements, MOAs, and Army alternate procedures, AAP, historical property component, HPC, and AGPRA, comprehensive agreements of CAS, plans of action, POA, cooperative agreements, other compliance documentation needed. Appoint a government that is federal and state, Army, National Guard, ARNG, employee installation, cultural resources management, CRA, and establish government relationship, federal recognized Indian tribes is needed. The initial formal government-to-government consultation of federal recognized Indian tribes will occur only if between and Garrison Commander Adjunction General TAG and Army National Guard and heads of tribal government. Follow-on activities may be accomplished by staff established by process effective coordination with CRM and in all staff elements of tenants of proponents of projects. The actions affect its stakeholders to allow proper identification, planning, and program for cultural resources requirement, National Historical Preservation Act compliance, ensuring Garrison Commander functions of the action agency official responsibility for installation compliance with the National Historical Preservation Act. Established Historical Preservation Act to include identification, evaluation, treatment of historical properties, and consulting with the Advisory Council and Historical Preservation, his state historical preservation officer, local governments, federal recognized Indian tribes, nation or highway or nation Hawaiian organization, public or inappropriate documentation, high historical that will be sustainable, altered, destroyed as a result of Army acquisition. LD Section 110 NHPA 36 CFR 800 identify, evaluate, take into account the threat attack effects of undertaking historical properties. An Army undertaking may affect the property's traditional regulation, religious, cultural significant, federal recognized Indian tribe. Initiate consultation on government-to-government basis of the LD Section 106 NHPA 36 CFR 800. Prepare implementation record required of the NHPA Section 106 NOA PA HPCS to address the NHPA compliance with the undertaking, coordination with the NHPA compliance documents, for examples, MOAPs, PHAs, HPCs, the chain of command of obtaining headquarters DA technical legal review prior to execution of 36 LD 36 CFR 800. ensure the efforts in identifying, evaluating, treating historic properties, considering Secretary Interiors, ensure standards, guidelines, archaeological, historic preservation conducted with the supervision personnel who meet the applicable professional qualification for undertaking such work of 36 CFR 621, Section 112, and NHPA, maintaining, updating, listing of all the historical properties applicable, maintains historical status in conjunction with the real property inventory requiring guidelines within holding proper disclosure information location chapter ownership of historical property of garrison commander determines disclosure may risk of harm of the historical property or may impede to the use of the traditional religious side of practitioners consider alterations for the historical properties including adaptive reuse if they needed to for the current projected installation mission and requirements of the section 112 or 111 NHPA nomination in the National Register Historical Place NHRP only those properties of the Army plans transfer of the federal management through privatization nomination of other properties who justified exemptional circumstances avoid advisory effective properties over 50 years old or not have been evaluated of eligible NHPA criteria assume in historical sites areas that is off limits until SHPO occurs of the federal findings of non-eligible with disagreements of the SHPO and eligible historical property of the NHRP applicable obtain of determining eligible from keeper from National Register or of National Park Service, the NPSA, 36 U.S. Code Federal Regulations, 36 CFR 63, undertaking planning actions as may be necessary to minimize any historical landmark that may be directly advisory affected to the result of Army actions, 36 CFR 800 ARFA Executive Order 13007, Executive Order 13175. Compliance consulting federal recognized Indian tribes to provide access to sacred sites of Army installation consistent with the appropriate health, safety, and mission constraint provide access to allow practical tradition, regulation, right, ceremonies, garrison commander maintain appropriate confidential of sacred site sections. The garrison commander may impose unreasonable restriction conditions on access sacred sites of Army installation, protection of the health and safety for reasons of national security, or avoid advisory effective the physical integrity of sacred sites, ensure reasonable notice is provided in the federal recognized Indian tribes where proposed action may be advisory effective, restrict the ceremonial use of physical integrity of sacred sites, consult government before taking into effect of federal and recognized Indian tribes, assess impact of the Army plans, activities, tribal trust, resources, assure tribal government and considering during development of such plans, project plans, programs, activities, Northern American Graves Protection Reparation Act compliance, designate garrison commander federal agency official responsibility installation compliance with Native American Grave Protection Reparation Act, NAPA, GRAPPA, LD 43 CFR 10, prepare CHPOAs and conditional federal recognized Indian tribes national Hawaiian organization coordination of the PRA, the chain of command of headquarters, DA, technical legal review prior to the execution of the 43 CFR 10. 3. The absence of CA takes responsible to determine planned activity, including MILCON, will result in intentional excavation, inadvertent discovery of cultural items in federal-owned and controlled Army lands with control items and encounter the GC implementation consultant procedure and planning requirements of the Section 3, Section 5 NAGA and prior issuing approval to provide with activities of LD 43 CFR 110-343 CFR 10-5 establish and implement initial communication federal recognized Indian tribes via correspondence between the GC heads of tribal government formal documentation all resulting in agreements environmental summaries and reparate cultural items that exist in collections of all Army positions and whether in dispute of the affiliation of the cultural safeguarding cultural items will until the dispute is resolved. 43 CFR 56710 APR ARPA AHPA compliance insurance GEC serves as federal land management responsibility for installation compliance with the ARPA 32 CFR 229 ensure GC serves the federal agency official management authority to the archaeological collection associated with the record. 36 CFR 79 establish issue included in policy and management of the limitation of collection removal of all paleontological resources. The ICRMPS addresses paleontological resources. The NAEPA documentation prepared for action of the impact causes improbable loss and destruction such as resource process prohibits searches collection of historical properties including archaeological army installation except for authorized garrison by the garrison commander pursuing a permit issued by the ARPA and minimize the amount of the archaeological material remains permanent curated and preserving treatment of the diagnostic artifacts of the other significant environmental sensitive materials that will add important information to site and interpretation. Archaeological materials, Army lands will occur only in 36 unit CFR 79 compliant repository maximum off installation that they are better able to provide with adequate long-term cultural services. Do not disclose public information concerning natural location archaeological resource which excavation and removal requires a permanent other permission of the ARPA under the provisions of federal law, section ARPA 1979, chapter 7, pollution prevention.